Alright, so I'm going to talk to you guys about powering up your engine on the 36 horsepower motor. And I'm going to talk to you about basically two different things that you can do. If you're building the engine, you're going to want to skip to the end. You know, it depends on how much money you want to put into it. It can be very expensive to rebuild one of these. But if you're just trying to power it up, you know, the cheapest way, I'm going to talk to you about what I did to mine and give you some concepts of what can be done without really spending a lot of money. Here's a couple of things. So what I did on mine is I actually, this is a completely stock engine. There's really nothing different about the whole internals of the engine. Have exactly all the original parts in it as far as I know. I've never had it apart, but I've driven a lot of 36 horses, so I mean over the years, and you know, they are very slow. So what I did to this one and this car, so you know, it drives, I can go 70 on flat ground, 75 even. If I stay on the floor for a long time, it'll do about 75 or even more. I'm not sure. It kind of tops out around there. But I don't know, sometimes it just keeps going and I'm like, whoa, I have to let off the gas. So it goes pretty well. And all I've done to this engine is one very simple thing. Number one, it's jetted right. So a lot of guys probably don't have them jetted right. So that's one big thing that you can do to get more power. But the thing that I did is there's an old motorcycle trick. It's called open up the exhaust and get more air to flow through the engine and jet the carburetor and make it so you can get one more main jet size. So that's what I did. So basically these pipes here are stainless steel tubing. They're nice and thick, so they're pretty sturdy, and they do not have baffles in them. So you might think, well, that's not much, but it goes from about this small of a hole to about this large of a hole. And I really think that that's the reason why this car runs as good as it does, is because of that. So I opened up these and put some straight pipes in them. And what I did is I took some old, some brand new squeakers, or ones that were no good or something, I forget which one, either brand new ones, empty junk, and cut the ends of them off so that I sleeved over the top of these so they could fit exactly in the hole, because they don't make the exact stainless steel in this size that I could get. I just bought some remnant pieces and I welded those on there and then shoved them in the hole and actually tack welded the clamps on so that they won't slide out. That's an old VW trick, guys. So tack weld the clamps on, so otherwise you'll be driving down the road, all of a sudden your pea shooters will slide out, you know, on the road. So it's all straight piped right here. This is straight piped. Now, I believe, and I'm not sure, that maybe the 36 horse does not have the typical baffles coming out of the tubes that come from the engine. They do. Normally they have like a little crimp down inside the muffler. They have a little crimp down area and with a bunch of holes drilled in it. And I don't know if the 36 horse has that. So what it does is it gives it basically the optimum flow going out these pipes, probably for the engine. And I believe I picked up a few horsepower by doing that, because where the power is on this thing is, and again, I have a split case tranny, which has a 0.79 versus having a full case tranny, which has a 0.89 gear. So I'm running a little bit higher gears. This is the original gears for the car, but some guys put a 36 horse in, they want a full case tranny because they don't want to grind that first gear. And if you do that, you may not end up with the same results I have. I'm just saying. So what I was able to do, because I did that, I opened up the exhaust, I was able to go up another half size in the main. So to check your main jet, you pull out this right here on the old 28s that are on these with the choke. Is that picked one? I think so. Yeah, I think so. Old one. PICT maybe. You take this out, and your main jet's right there. And you need to make sure you have a main jet sizer, or don't even go by that. Just go buy brand new jets. And I was able to pick up an extra half size. And a lot of guys, what happens is when they jet their car, they don't jet it properly, and that's a big issue why the engine doesn't have any power as well. So what you got to do is basically what hydrocarbons smell like. Okay, if your car is too lean, you will have a lot of hydrocarbon smell. So people think, well, I got really stinky exhaust, so it's running rich. It's typically not rich. It's a misfire from too much hydrocarbon in your, it's misfire, and that creates hydrocarbons. So misfires create hydrocarbons, and normally a lean misfire, if your engine's running a little bit too lean, it'll be really smelly, and then when you richen it up, it'll not smell as bad because it creates more carbon dioxide, which is an odorless killer. You guys know that. It makes more carbon dioxide, odorless killer. Less smell of the exhaust typically means it is richer. So you kind of got to master that smell and get it right. So how you can do that is actually up your main until when you drive it, it kind of bogs a little bit, and then back it off until it doesn't. So half sizes, there's like for the jet sizing, should be between somewhere like a 120 and 122 on this. So they normally had like a I don't know what was in these. I don't know. In a regular 1600, it was like a 115, the old school ones. And man, you really need to get rid of that jet because that thing's way too lean. And you have a 1600, but on this engine, I believe I'm at like a 120, but I'm not sure. I'd have to pull it out and actually measure it, not just go by what's on the number that's on it. You have to measure it with a jet measuring tool if you don't have that. If you don't have that, you can actually go to the regular parts store and buy main jets. The main jets for these are the same as all the other Solex main jets. So, a lot of the parts stores have them, like CarCraft has them. I think Wolfsburg West sells them, but I'm not sure on that. So anyway, that's what I did to this thing, and it actually is a total freeway driver. I can put my foot on the floor and actually have to let off because I get going faster than traffic. In fact, on the way back from the last show I was at, I haven't driven it that much on the freeway. But on the way back from the last two shows I was at, I was actually kind of fed up with the right lane traffic, and they were going like 60 or something, and I actually went into the fast lane, and it takes a while to get to speed, but it was able to speed up to, I got up to 70, 75, somewhere in there, and passed a whole bunch of people, and then got back over, and then I could go 65, which is where I want to drive. At 75, this car's a little squirrely with the back being lowered. It does walk a little bit in the back, and it gets a little scary. So I don't like driving that fast, but it will do it, which is great because I can actually pass someone. Now, let's talk about the other options if you're building your engine. If you're brand new building, everybody goes, man, go a Crassa. Who has that kind of money? That's a lot of money to do full of Crassa, because you got to get the heads, you got to get the carburetors, you got to really, to do in a Crassa, you got to go, you can't just put the carburetors on this motor. You really got to do the crankshaft, the cam, and the heads if you're going to do a full Crassa, because you'll pretty much, the heads might work a little with the dual carbs, but I don't know, I would go all the way. But here's a way that you might want to do it if you're doing it the other way. They make a stroker crankshaft for this, and you might say, oh, stroker, it's not very, it's only a 69.5 stroker, so it's really not that much of a stroker. And you can get a barrel size upgrade when you do the stroker crank. I don't think it works without the stroker crank. I think you have to have the stroker crank and the barrel size upgrade. So you can get a stroker crank. They're like $500 for this thing. Wolfsburg West makes them. They are made chromoly steel, good steel, and pretty strong. I know guys running really high horsepower engine 36s, and you know, they've turbo and all kinds of stuff who are trying to do stuff, and they're really strong cranks. And then you get the barrel size upgrade from AA makes them, the barrel size upgrades, and then you have to get the heads cut, and I think the block cut and the heads cut for those, so to open it up to make them fit. But that would give, and they also make a performance cam. They have, I think, one profile available. So if you got the crank, the performance cam, and the barrels, and put them on the stock motor, even without the Acrasa heads, you could get a lot more torque out of this thing and make it run more like a normal engine. So if you had a deep pockets and you wanted to do it, that's another way you could do it and get a lot more power. Some of the guys are doing the a Barth muffler. So basically what I did is I did a poverty special, a Barth muffler for this, and that actually does, I'm sure that the Barth muffler from after doing what I did to mine would do the same thing. If you did a Barth muffler and the jetting upgrade, I think you would probably be pretty happy with the power you got. But you know, the Barth muffler is like what, $700 or something. I don't even know what they are. I've seen them, they were just like really expensive. Maybe it's $450 or something. I mean, they're really expensive muffler. So this is kind of the cheaper way to do that. If you're just trying to, you know, you could probably do this, what I do with this, and do the crankshaft upgrade and probably get the power you need that way and not have to go to the Barth muffler. And then I angle cut them just so that they look like the Barth muffler, because I like the way they look, but I just don't want the price. So anyway, that's a little bit about how you can power up your 36 horsepower motor. There's a few things you can do. By the way, it was 100 degrees out, and it was a little hot, but it wasn't overheating at all. And I was on the floor for a good hour, you know, mostly on the floor. I mean, I wasn't on the floor all the time. I actually had to let off the gas, you know, because I would get going too fast. So that's a good thing on a 36 horsepower. I mean, most of the time when you're on 36 horsepower, you're pretty much on the floor the whole time. I was actually having to let off the gas. So anyway, that's it for the power up on your 36. I'll talk to you next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.